You're listening to the Retro Mo Podcast. I'm your host, Mo, and I love to play and review old video games and a few new games too. If you prefer to read instead of listen, check out my written reviews at retromo.substack.com. In this episode, I'll be sharing my experience with Elder Scrolls 4: Oblivion for the PC, released in 2006. I've scored this game 8 out of 10, a great game. A groundbreaking entry in Bethesda's fantasy open-world RPG series. Morrowind was a huge step forward from Daggerfall, and Oblivion was yet another big leap forward in the Elder Scrolls universe. In every respect, Oblivion once again raised the bar in the open-world fantasy RPG genre. After Skyrim's release, Oblivion became the middle child of the fully 3D Elder Scrolls games, but it remains an epic adventure that shouldn't be passed over. Oblivion builds on the now familiar Bethesda formula, but adds so many improvements to Morrowind's foundation. The combat is much improved, though still a bit dull for some after playing Skyrim. They added a proper fast travel system, and NPCs have full facial animations, in all of their awkward 2006 glory, and fully voiced speech. The main quest, side quest, and faction quest content in Oblivion is lauded by many as the best in the series. Oblivion adds dynamic reputation, where NPCs recognize your accomplishments or your crimes, and many NPCs have been programmed with daily routines to add some realism to the game. For years, Oblivion held the throne as my favorite game of all time. And that's a near impossible decision to make, of course. There are just so many great games out there. But whenever the question came up, Oblivion always came to my mind. Eventually, Fallout 4 dethroned Oblivion and took the title for me, but I will always cherish Oblivion. I enjoyed Morrowind in spite of its many flaws, but Oblivion was the first 3D open-world RPG that really, truly captivated me. I just became completely lost in this world of Cyrodiil. There are just so many wonderful quests, storylines, characters, vistas, and unique experiences. When I finally finished nearly every quest in the game, I retired my character in Anvil, the harbor town. I took one last look at the incredible landscape as the sun was setting over the horizon, and I said goodbye to this fantasy world. This was one of the first games that really gave me that sense of homesickness when closing down the game for the last time. I've played through Oblivion twice now, and I'll probably play it again in several years when the memories of these adventures have faded a bit more. There is at least one major flaw to the game's design: the level scaling. As you advance in levels, the enemies also level up with you, similar to Final Fantasy VIII, Tactics Ogre. When balanced properly, I think Skyrim greatly improved this. Level scaling can ensure that the game's content remains appropriately challenging, no matter the order you decide to tackle the content. Oblivion's level scaling is not well balanced. If you don't allocate your skill points efficiently, some enemies will just become very difficult. The quick fix is to drop the difficulty slider in the settings, but this just feels like cheating. A better solution? Properly balance the game, so that players are not encountering frustrating difficulty spikes on random side quests. On release, Oblivion also had a massive amount of bugs. This may be the buggiest game in Bethesda's catalog, especially the PS3 version. However, when fully patched, thank you modding community, encountering bugs is a lot less common. In 2006, Oblivion's visuals were just blowing people away. While Twilight Princess and Gears of War at that time showcased much better character models with faces that didn't look like potatoes, Oblivion's stunning environments were getting a lot of attention. Exploring the gorgeous hills and valleys of Cyrodiil, it's just an absolute treat. Of course, by today's standards, Oblivion's dated graphics may be a barrier for some modern gamers. Thankfully, there are loads of mods that can vastly improve your Oblivion experience. The game's character creator was an exciting improvement from Morrowind, though today it's remembered more just for the memes, because there are countless hilarious abominations that have been spawned out of Oblivion's now beloved character creator. The epic story is definitely a highlight. I was so wrapped up in the main quest storyline, I blasted through most of the main quest without even beginning a single side quest or faction quest. Many Oblivion fans actually prefer the well-designed faction quests to the main quest, especially the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood quest lines. Morrowind introduced a lot of great lore, but it was Oblivion that really sent me down this deep rabbit hole of Elder Scrolls lore. I spent countless hours reading the in-game books and reading lore articles on UESP's website. Oblivion also boasts one of the best DLC storylines Bethesda has ever released, the Shivering Isles. It is must-play content. Before Jeremy Soul's Skyrim soundtrack received wide acclaim, his Oblivion score was capturing the same majestic vibes. I've spent countless hours listening to the Oblivion score. It's just chock full of so many fantastic, ethereal, chill soundscapes. It should be noted, some disturbing allegations against Soul have come to light, and this has soured many on the lasting legacy of his work. If you loved Skyrim but struggled with the aged Morrowind, you may find Oblivion to be a more agreeable middle ground between the two. Skyrim brought more great improvements, but in some areas, Oblivion surpasses Skyrim. I know for me, if I had to choose one over the other, I'd choose Oblivion. For a time, Oblivion reigned at the top of my list of all-time favorite games. So get yourself a Game of the Year edition, load up on some mods, and give Oblivion a fair shot. You may just love it. Thanks for listening to the Retro Mo podcast. As always, I do my best to keep all of my content spoiler-free and rated E for everyone. If you find this podcast enjoyable or helpful, tell a friend and consider giving a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. If you have questions or comments, you can send an email to retromopodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Godspeed.